Welcome back to Kafka Internal's Crashcasts. I'm your host, Sheila, and today we're continuing our journey through the fundamentals of Apache Kafka. We're in the Introduction to Kafka chapter, and we'll be diving into the exciting world of Kafka use cases and applications. Joining me, as always, is our Kafka expert, Victor. Are you ready to explore the versatility of Kafka, Victor?
Absolutely, Sheila. I'm excited to share how Kafka is being used in various industries and applications. It's truly fascinating to see how this technology has evolved and found its place in so many different scenarios.
Before we jump in, let's start with a fun quiz question for our listeners. Here's the question. Which major social media platform uses Kafka to process over 1 trillion events per day? Victor, any thoughts on this intriguing question?
Oh, that's a great question, Sheila. It really highlights the scale at which Kafka can operate. Without giving away the answer, I can say that it's quite impressive how Kafka can handle such enormous volumes of data in real time. It makes you think about the sheer amount of information flowing through social media platforms every second, doesn't it?
It certainly does, Victor. Now, let's start by recapping what we learned in our previous episode. We discussed that Kafka is a distributed streaming platform that allows for publishing and subscribing to streams of records. Can you elaborate on how this fundamental concept translates into real-world applications?
Certainly, Sheila. The publish-subscribe model of Kafka makes it incredibly versatile. One of the most common use cases is in building real-time data pipelines. Imagine a large e-commerce company that needs to process millions of transactions per day. They can use Kafka to ingest all these transactions in real time, then process them for various purposes like fraud detection, inventory management, and personalized recommendations.
That's fascinating, Victor. So it's like Kafka acts as a central nervous system for data in these organizations. Can you give us more examples of how different industries are leveraging Kafka?
Absolutely. In the financial sector, banks use Kafka for real-time fraud detection and risk analysis. They can stream transaction data through Kafka and apply machine learning models in real time to detect suspicious activities. In the transportation industry, companies like Uber use Kafka to handle real-time GPS data from millions of drivers and riders, enabling efficient matching and routing. Even in the healthcare industry, Kafka is used for real-time monitoring of patient data in hospitals, allowing for quick responses to critical situations.
Those are some impressive applications, Victor. It seems like Kafka is particularly useful in scenarios where real-time data processing is crucial. Are there any other types of applications where Kafka shines?
Definitely, Sheila. Another major use case is log aggregation. Large organizations often have distributed systems running on hundreds or thousands of servers. Kafka provides a centralized platform for collecting logs from all these servers, making it easier to monitor system health, troubleshoot issues, and perform analytics. Kafka is also widely used in event-driven architectures. For example, in a microservices setup, different services can communicate with each other through Kafka, publishing events when something happens and subscribing to events they're interested in. This decouples the services and makes the overall system more scalable and resilient.
That's really interesting, Victor. It sounds like Kafka is quite versatile, but I'm curious, how does it compare to other technologies in these areas? For instance, how does it stack up against traditional message queues?
Great question, Sheila. While Kafka shares some similarities with traditional message queues like RabbitMQ or ActiveMQ, there are some key differences. Kafka is designed for high-throughput scenarios and can handle millions of messages per second, which is often more than traditional queues can manage. Additionally, Kafka stores messages on disk and allows for replay of data, which is not typically a feature of traditional queues. This makes Kafka particularly suitable for scenarios where you need to reprocess data or build new applications that need historical data. However, it's worth noting that Kafka might be overkill for simple messaging scenarios, where a traditional queue would suffice. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
That makes sense, Victor. It seems like understanding the specific requirements of your use case is crucial when deciding whether to use Kafka. Are there any common pitfalls or misunderstandings that people should be aware of when considering Kafka for their applications?
Absolutely, Sheila. One common misunderstanding is thinking that Kafka is a simple plug-and-play solution. While Kafka is powerful, it requires careful planning and configuration to work effectively at scale. Another pitfall is underestimating the operational complexity. Kafka clusters need proper monitoring, tuning, and maintenance, especially as they grow larger. It's important to have the right expertise on your team or to work with experienced partners. Lastly, some people mistake Kafka for a data storage solution. While Kafka does store data, it's primarily designed for real-time data movement and processing. For long-term data storage, you typically move data from Kafka to a data warehouse or data lake.
Those are great points, Victor. It sounds like while Kafka is powerful, it's not a silver bullet and requires careful consideration. Do you have any tips or best practices for organizations looking to implement Kafka?
Certainly, Sheila. First, start small and scale gradually. Don't try to move all your data to Kafka at once. Begin with a specific use case and expand as you gain experience. Second, invest in proper monitoring and alerting for your Kafka cluster. This will help you catch and resolve issues before they become critical. Third, pay attention to your data schemas and evolution. As your data and applications change over time, you'll need a strategy for managing these changes without breaking existing systems. Lastly, don't underestimate the importance of data governance and security. Make sure you have proper access controls and data protection measures in place, especially if you're dealing with sensitive information.
Thank you, Victor. Those are really valuable insights. Now, before we wrap up, let's reveal the answer to our quiz question. The major social media platform that uses Kafka to process over 1 trillion events per day is LinkedIn. In fact, Kafka was originally developed at LinkedIn to handle their massive data streams before being open-sourced. To summarize today's episode, we've learned that Kafka has a wide range of applications, from real-time data pipelines and log aggregation to powering event-driven architectures. We've seen how industries like e-commerce, finance, transportation, and healthcare are leveraging Kafka's capabilities. We've also discussed how Kafka compares to traditional messaging systems and some best practices for implementation. In our next episode, we'll be diving into the basic architecture of Kafka, which will help us understand how it achieves such impressive performance and scalability. Thank you for tuning in to Kafka Internals Crashcasts. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a rating. Your support helps us reach more people and create better content. Until next time, keep streaming.